Hello and welcome to Star Citizen. My name is evenleasesc, and today on 10 Minutes More or Less Vehicle Review, we have the ANVIL Ballista right behind me. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, welcome back to another review. Today, the ANVIL Ballista, and you heard that right, I am branching into the ground vehicle section here once in a while, just because they are a very big part of the Star Citizen universe. It's not always about flying a spaceship, and sometimes you have to be on the ground, and this massive vehicle in front of me is really good at controlling the airspace above it. So, let's go ahead and take a look. This thing costs $140 if you were to buy it on the Pledge store, and to be honest, I do not ever think it's, okay price tag to be over $100 for any ground vehicle. But you know what? It's my own personal opinion. I'm not sure what everybody else thinks on the subject matter, but this thing's $140, or if you buy it in game, it is 1,481,760 AUEC. Now, with that in mind, I'd just buy this thing in game all day long. But yeah, again, personal opinion. You'll have to let me know what you think of the price tag down in the comments below. So let's go ahead and get into the stats of this vehicle. This thing has technically no pilot-controlled weapons per se on the stats side of things, but it's just not true. It does have a remote turret at the top, which is controllable while you're driving. You don't even have to enter the remote turret screen. You're limited to the, field of view out your windshield when you do that. But you can definitely do that and fire the weapons while driving. That, or you hit the button on the cockpit panel that says enter remote turret, and you can just get in there and control it better with a 360 view around, which is always great. So with that remote turret has two size 2 Scorpion GT215s on it, and it gives you a total DPS of 678, which isn't terrible for a ground vehicle. Heck, that's actually more than some, smaller craft that should probably output more damage than they do. So pretty good amount of DPS for a small ground vehicle here. Well, small per se ground vehicle. Outside of that, it does have this massively impressive torpedo armament here in the back. Now, that is the primary catch with this thing. It is a torpedo slinger, and it has 8 size 5 Scimitar 5 torpedoes, or 2 size 7 Hellion 7 torpedoes. So those are the massive ones right there. And then, of course, above, below, to the side of them is the Scimitar. So pretty awesome. This thing can take out pretty much almost every ship in the game, as long as your missiles, or torpedoes, hit their targets. And that's all that matters with that. So once you run out of ammo, you will have to go get it rearmed, which is kind of a bummer. But you know what? If you're running a good military op, maybe you already have something out here with a bunch more ready to go. You just lock and load, right? But outside of that, this ground vehicle is one of the few that actually has a shield generator, well, 2 shield generators, giving it a max shield strength of 1,500, and it is a bubble shield. So that's pretty cool. That's a positive in my opinion. It's only 1,500 shield strength, but it's a ground vehicle. What can you really expect? A lot of ground vehicles, most of them don't even have shields. The Ursa does, a very small one, like at 750. The Nova Tank is the one with the biggest. It has like 2,300, 2,400, somewhere around there. And the Storm is sitting, I think, lower than this. Yeah, it's like 700 or something like that. So pretty interesting. So it's good to see that this thing does have a shield generator. A lot of fine details on the exterior too. I really do like the look at this thing. And it's really fun to be in the gunner seat and taking out other ships as they fly in. If you want to put a complete net over a landing zone, you can definitely do that with this thing. Short-lived, once you run out of missiles, it's good to abandon ship and go find something else. But you could definitely do it, which is pretty cool. Now, it does also have 24,200 HP, so 24,000 health points really isn't bad when you're a pretty small target and you could be hidden away on the ground, especially since this thing has a really low EM rating. It's sitting around 5,000, so, you know, turn off the engines and stuff, and you're probably sitting a lot lighter than that, too. So they don't even see you until they're right on top of you. So that's pretty cool. I like that. I just really can't get over how cool this thing looks. I really wish there was a little bit more of a variety of ground vehicles when it came to things like this, because it's really cool and it adds in a whole nother element to the game. Now, outside of that, this thing obviously doesn't carry any sort of cargo, like big cargo. It has a personal inventory, but and obviously no quantum tank, no quantum jump drive, nothing like that. It's not a spacecraft. So the next big question is what can carry this thing? And really nothing much right now other than the Hercules class of ships. So the C2, M2, or the A2 can carry this, or you can potentially fit it in the back of the 890 jump through the rear cargo ramp. So pretty interesting there. It's just not much can carry it. So you have to kind of go into purchasing this thing knowing that either you have to buy a ship, you know, one of the only ships in the game that can carry it as of this point, or you just spawn it at a zone and kind of sit outside that zone and just do what you want to do like that, which is potentially, you know, something you can definitely do. It's completely up to you and how you want to operate this thing. But it's really cool. I think it's got a really nice design, and I like seeing these huge torpedoes on it. You know, seeing these things go after ships in the air, the panic the pilots must feel is insane. Now, outside of that, obviously it doesn't have any sort of components or gold standard pass. A lot of these buttons, they look like they'd be physicalized, and they kind of are in a way, but not quite. And then none of your components are accessible at this current point in time, so nothing like that. In the interior here, you do have an area for weapons rack, so you can carry a couple weapons, and this would be your gunner seat. So this is where you control the rocket area. You'd hop in there and you go ahead and fire off the torpedoes from there. From the front here is the driver's seat, so the driver would sit here with a bunch of MFDs in front of him, and you can operate the remote-controlled turret from here. So pretty cool. I like that. Now, looks like a little fire extinguisher, so I wonder if fire propagation is going to be added for ground vehicles like this right away or not, but probably not. You can also, not yet, not that I can see, and not any information I could find, deploy these stabilizers on the ground. I couldn't find a way to do it. I don't think that functionality is in the game yet, but these stabilizers will someday stabilize this thing from rocking back and forth in the wind and moving, and when you're firing massive torpedoes, not knocking it over, right? Not that it does now, but maybe one day it will. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward ground vehicle here. It drives really well. It feels smooth. You know, I love the big tires on this thing. That's pretty cool. And yeah, let me see if I can potentially engage somebody and show you what this thing can do. Be back with you in a moment. So as you can see with that small little clip right there, the biggest problem you're going to have with a ground vehicle like the Ballista is you have a very big distance between you and the ship where you can't even lock onto them. So they have to be 3+ kilometers away for you to even get a good lock. So like right now, this AI is circling that landing zone over there, and I can't lock him because of one, his distance most of the time is within 3 kilometers, and two, he's circling in an armistice zone, even though he's over there engaging, you know, my ship that's just sitting there. So that's one of the big problems, and that's why you got to use the front of your, you know, vessel here to go ahead and, you know, try to take down any attacking party, or try to go out there with, you know, another ground vehicle or at least some air support. So when they get right up on top of you, you have some way to hopefully survive. Now, I got lucky right there. I'm not sure what happened with the Nomad, but he just went right into the ground and exploded, so lucky there. Now, given my new point system, basically this ship is a 7.5 out of 10, just because of, you know, the price is outside of the game, not great. Inside of the game, pretty decent price, especially for what this thing can do. And then, of course, it has, you know, driver-controlled remote turret, which is awesome that you can even use it while driving itself. You have great shields, great health points, great EM rating. The deployability on this thing is terrible, so you can't take this thing around with anything other than a Hercules or potentially an 890 jump, which is really too bad. Hopefully we can get some more ships in here soon that will be able to transport something like this, because it would be really well needed. This thing gets another point for having such a awesome torpedo complement on it. That's the primary function of this ship, so definitely a point there. The components in Gold Standard Pass, that's where it kind of loses a point, because it doesn't have any available components and the Gold Standard isn't in yet. Someday that'll be there, and that'll definitely be helpful. Now, for speed and maneuverability, this thing, I mean, it's a huge ground vehicle, so it moves kind of slow, but it's not like absolutely horrendous. It's moving as slow as it probably should given the size of it, and the maneuverability is right on point as well. It feels like it grabs to the ground really nicely, and that's great. It kind of can crawl through everything. Just try not to hit too many big rocks and you're all set. So yeah, in the end, 7.5 out of 10. Let me know what you think of the Ballista down in the comments below, and do you own one? You know, what do you think of this? Do you think ground vehicles are a big part of Star Citizen right now, or is it kind of more like, you know, you can't wait until they are? Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.